KayFabe Smark Podcast. Welcome to the KayFabe Smark Podcast with Eric Todd and Brian Rampa, your smart mark source for news and opinions on the world of professional wrestling.
Hey, we are here. Don't fear. It is October 24th, 2021. It is on a Sunday. We're coming at you live. We postponed Thursday so we both could get a good watch on WWE's Crown Jewel event as it was streaming in the middle of the day. And, well, both of us were at our working jobs. So, unfortunately, we are not full-time streamers yet, people. You need to get on to all the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Follow us, donate, send us some money. We can do this all the time, 24/7. But until then, we'll be at work during the day. So, we've watched Crown Jewel. We are here to check in and talk about that. But before we tear apart that show, let's check in with Mr. Eric Todd. Eric, what is going on in your world?
Oh, you know, same old, Brian. Had to use my regular work job money so my son and I can have an UGG off, Brian. So my son makes fun of me because I did the ultimate white guy move and bought myself some $116 UGG slippers. He comes home today. He went to Somerset Mall. If you're not in Michigan or around Michigan, that is the rich people mall of Southeast Michigan. He comes home with a $130 pair of UGG boots. So had to one-up them a little bit, and I went on Amazon and got the same pair of UGG boots, but mine are waterproof. But again, had to use our real job money for that. So please subscribe, tell your friends.
Make us
egg
famous.
us on to make some merch. We'll sell you T-shirts. We'll make them to order.
I'll make them to order right here in my basement talking about professional wrestling. I myself went up to Frankenmuth here in Michigan and bought some Christmas ornaments with my family and then got chicken, world-famous Frankenmuth chicken. That was my Sunday afternoon. But now I am here to talk professional wrestling. But Eric, you always have news for us. Do you have news?
I do got a little bit of news, Brian, so smack that ticker so I can find my background.
From around the world, Eric's been scouring the internet since last Thursday to bring you the news.
All right, so this might be a little bit of old news since we haven't broadcasted in like almost a week and a half or so, but one of the highest anticipated showdowns between AEW and WWE was the Friday Rampage that AEW puts on versus WWE's extended SmackDown that was that the Sci-Fi channel that was on, Brian?
Yeah.
I believe so. One of Fox's little subsidiaries. But anyway, that was Friday, October 15th, and they went head-to-head for just a half an hour of that. And, I'm sorry, FS1. I'm an idiot.
I'm an idiot.
Right. So the October 15th Supersized SmackDown on FS1 drew 866,000 total viewers. Meanwhile, AEW Rampage drew 578,000. Now, that sounds like an ass kicking up front, but you know how the wrestling companies do it, Brian. They want that key demo.
The demo god.
And although my numbers are showing that SmackDown drew 314,000 in the 18 to 49 male demographic, and AEW drew in 313,000 in the 18 to 49 demo. It's listed here that Rampage did defeat SmackDown in that demographic and also topped SmackDown head-to-head in that 30-minute overlap, also in the 18 to 49 demographic. So WWE and AEW had a little dick measuring contest going on, and of course, just like any other rivals, they're going to dispute the numbers and use the ones that are convenient for them.
Sure. I follow this gentleman on TikTok, Mac Ruber, I believe is his name. I think his old TikTok got taken down. Nonetheless, he did a cool breakdown explaining like the demos and everything and how AEW wants to scream and that they win the demos, but he broke it down like a box score of baseball where he's like WWE gets a 1, AEW got a 0, 1 point here for this demo for this hour. Then AEW took 4 for this demo at this hour, but then got a 0 the rest of the way, where WWE kept getting these points throughout the thing and wins in total overall, right? And it made sense to me. And you go, oh, yeah, you just won 1 inning of baseball.
Right. And then you're going to scream like we're the kings of the 3rd inning.
Cool.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah, imagine just like winning a round in a boxing match, and you were like, that's it! I won!
Yeah.
Like, no, there's 10 more, guy.
I think just for now, I think AEW has plenty of potential, and
Sure.
they have plenty of time to learn and grow. But right now, they need to just keep their mouth shut and just realize they're little brothers. They got to work their way up. They're not going to be in that. WWE's been in business for a goddamn millennia, you know?
And here we are.
Take your time, catch up, do
Right.
it right.
They're eating the scraps off the big boy table, too. It's not like they're picking up the scraps from Impact.
Right.
So be okay with where you're at.
Definitely. You guys are doing just fine. Apparently, Ric Flair doesn't have quite enough heat coming from the liberal side of the media because now Ric Flair is advertised to appear as a guest host at a political event on December 1st, which will take place at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. And this will be for the Senate candidate Herschel Walker, former NFL player, and also former United States President Donald J. Trump. So Ric Flair's going to be rubbing elbows with 2 prominent Republicans there, and I'm sure the liberal media will just love that, Brian Rampa.
Oh, yeah. He's went and painted himself in a corner. Now he's just going to run with it.
Right. You pull your dick out to a few flight attendants and people get mad at you. You might as well just go with the gimmick. Keep the heat coming, right?
Might as well. What the hell?
I imagined we were going to find an update to this following story, but I haven't seen anything. Rhea Ripley on October 17th tweeted out to her fans in Albuquerque, New Mexico, my Moshers of Albuquerque, or my Moshers of Albuquerque. I know this is a stretch, but if any of you have seen a black travel suitcase around Office Boulevard and Montano Road, please hold on to it and let me know. It has all my gear in it, including my title. Cheers. So, Rhea Ripley, a little red in the face, lost her gear bag and lost her tag team title at the same time.
Yeah, pulling herself a little what we like to call a Jericho move when he lost the AEW belt the first night that it was crowned on him.
I wonder if she was as wasted as Jericho was. Just a little, not a big story, but a little chuckle that I read while I was browsing around online. Apparently, Juventud Guerrera, Juventud?
What's Juventud?
He was the latest guest on Talk is Jericho, and he was, surprise, he was not a big fan of riding to the ring in a lawnmower, Brian.
Get out of Dodge. Get right out of Dodge.
Juventud said, and I quote, I didn't like it. We tried to make it cool. We put on some bandanas. We put on some glasses. That was something I've never spoken about. I've never spoken about it because I never like to talk bad about people, because when you talk bad about people in a little bit, you talk bad about yourself. It got a little jumbled at the end. English not the first language for Juventud, but I pretty much get his point.
Yeah, he wasn't happy. He tried to make it cool and pushed past it, and there you go. I get it. I mean, I couldn't imagine they liked it. I got to imagine they liked the paycheck they were getting because they kept doing it. They didn't walk out on their contract.
Right.
Something made the pain go. Something made the sting go away.
Yeah. Money changes a lot of minds, Brian.
Yeah, make the sting go away.
WWE legend Hacksaw Jim Duggan was all over the news this week. He underwent emergency surgery on October 20th. It was kind of vague when his wife Deborah posted to Facebook asking fans to keep him in their thoughts and prayers. Duggan later tweeted that day that Hacksaw was out of surgery and back in his room and everything went well. And then on October 22nd, Duggan reached out on Instagram. His wife posted on Instagram, after 2 nights in the hospital and emergency surgery yesterday, guess who just came home? Thank you to the amazing doctors and nurses at Kershaw County Medical Center, which is now MUSC. Thanks to Brittany for wheeling Jim out. Thank you for your prayers, vibes, texts, calls, and messages. Now home to fully recuperate. So Hacksaw Jim Duggan having emergency surgery, recovering great, back at home, and that's good news for Jim Duggan.
Hey, God bless. Yeah, I saw that sweep by my eyeballs this week where they I didn't see the second part of the update that you gave me there, so I'm glad to hear that he's home, but I saw that he had been in the hospital and wasn't looking so hot in the picture that I saw that was posted, but glad to see that he's headed home.
And then another legend dealing with some medical issues, AEW commentator, former WWE commentator, and Hall of Famer Jim Ross took to his social media to reveal that he may be dealing with a potential skin cancer issue. On his Instagram, Jim Ross posted a photo of a nasty looking growth on his lower leg, which Ross notes he's been dealing with for over a year. Jim Ross later confirmed that it was skin cancer, saying, "On my way to Orlando for tonight's AEW Dynamite, skin cancer confirmed, waiting on radiologist study to determine best treatment, likely radiation, feeling great and ready to attack. Thanks for the support from so many." And I heard that Jim Ross dealt with some sort of skin cancer issue earlier in his career, and he's looking pretty positive on this one. Like it's going to be a walk in the park.
Well,
Hopefully, we all wish the best for Jim Ross.
Yeah, I don't want to see Jim have skin cancer. I don't want to see anybody have skin cancer and get sick. That's terrible. But yeah, hopefully Jim can keep going with the positivity and the power of positivity and move forward and keep making Excalibur look like an asshole on AEW Dynamite.
Yes, we all love that. As you mentioned, Brian, we will be talking about WWE's Crown Jewel show that took place in Saudi Arabia. And we've got a little bit of behind the scenes news from that program. Fightful Select revealed who produced some of the key matches that took place at Crown Jewel. Jason Jordan. He used to wrestle, didn't he, Brian?
Name sounds terribly familiar.
I think he was one of Kurt Angle's boys.
Yeah.
I think he rolled with him. But anyway, Jason Jordan produced the Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley match, as well as the Mansoor versus Mustafa Ali match. TJ Wilson, a.k.a. Tyson Kidd, produced the Zelina Vega versus Doudrop match. Chris Park, we all remember him as Abyss. He produced the Big E Langston versus Drew McIntyre match, as well as the RK Bro versus AJ Styles and Omos match.
Almost gave a damn.
And Adam Pearce produced the Finn Balor versus Xavier Woods match. I was kind of disappointed because I wanted to know who produced the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match. But who knows? Maybe that'll come out in a later date.
They didn't reveal that one. That was Vince McMahon himself. Old Vinnie Mac called it on the fly too. He wrote it while they were wrestling and told the referee to call in the spots, moving it right there like a live action show. There was lots of highs and lots of lows in the Crown Jewel, and we'll talk about them.
We will for sure. Also, a big. I use the word big in quotes there. Pay-per-view event happened with Impact's Bound for Glory show. The Inspiration, my favorite female tag team, formerly known as the Iconics, defeated Decay's Rosemary and Jessica Havoc to become the new Impact Knockouts tag team champions. So congrats to the Inspiration.
To the Inspiration. They I saw the video of them. Somebody put it out on Instagram or something, and I was watching that earlier. And they still do the same, like, the little Iconics, like that little pose that they did. Now they do the Inspiration and hit the same pose. So they're kind of rolling with the same people. They didn't change the gimmick too much.
Nope, just change the name because I think that's the only thing WWE could sue them about. So, keep everything that's successful. That's smart for sure. And there's another Wrestling Hall of Fame out there, Brian. You and I need to start one of these. We'll get some eyeballs on us. There is now the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, And Ric Flair was part of the inaugural class, attending the event, receiving a ring. The ring was presented to him by IPWHF's Seth Turner on Saturday at the Showcase of the Legends event in Albany, New York. The 2021 class also includes Hulk Hogan, Bruno Sammartino, Andre the Giant, Lou Thez, Buddy Rogers, Frank Gotch, Danny Hodge, Terry Funk, and the list goes on. Just the typical names you would
start your pyramid
most
with.
likely see on a inaugural class of any wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Interesting. We'll start the Internet Wrestling Hall of Fame.
There we go. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, first members of the Internet Wrestling Champion Hall of Fames. That about wraps my news, Brian. So slap that ticker, and we can keep it rolling.
I got one little piece. Did you see the Undertaker introduced Pitbull at the in Saudi Arabia? I forget what do they call this Riyadh season. It was like the kickoff to the Riyadh season there in Saudi Arabia. And the night before, so Wednesday night here in the States, they had a Pitbull concert, and there was like 80,000 people there. And Undertaker came out in full gimmick. Bong! Lightning. The whole trench coat, the hat, the makeup. I want to introduce to you. Put your hands together. For Pitbull. He did the whole Undertaker gimmick. There's video of it all over the internet. So go on and check that out.
I'm be honest with you. I saw, as I was scrolling through the news stories, I saw Undertaker introduces Pitbull and then I just kept scrolling. I was like,
I thought, because I was all thrown off with the timelines of literally the timelines of where they were at in Saudi Arabia and what they were doing on Wednesday when I saw it. So I thought they might have had, maybe that was Crown Jewel stuff. I didn't know where we were at with Crown Jewel when it was being recorded and aired. So I thought Pitbull was performing at Crown Jewel, and The Undertaker did a gimmick there. So I was like, well, that makes sense. In a sense, right? You can have The Undertaker come out, bong, people go nuts. He can come, tip his hat and say, hey, here's Pitbull. Nope. This was the Prince of Saudi Arabia is a big mark for professional wrestling, throwing a huge event in his country in main city there, and they said, we want the Undertaker to introduce Pitbull. Probably wrote him several $100,000 check to fly over to Saudi Arabia for 38 seconds of work. I mean, sign me up.
As we stated before, money will change a lot of people's minds on subjects.
Right. I mean, so that wasn't no cheap small check to get old Mark to fly over there and introduce Pitbull in front of that many people.
Touching on the same subject, I am just completely fascinated with Undertaker in full gimmick doing stupid arbitrary shit like introducing Pitbull. If you get a chance, check out his cameos. About probably 6 months, a year ago, Undertaker just set up and he did a set number of cameos.
Yeah.
And
I think he was doing I think he was doing only like 1,000 of them, and they were $1,000 a piece, I believe.
Something ridiculous like that. But just, I remember hearing one in particular where he says, "All Elite Scooby Doo," and he cuts a promo.
My headphones fell off.
So definitely seek out the cameo to All Elite Scooby Doo. And it's fantastic.
Well, we'll leave that with you. That is the news. All Elite Scooby Doo, Dooby Doo. The Undertaker introducing Pitbull. We've got everybody and their mother producing a show on Crown Jewel. And AEW won one section of the demographics to think that they're the best. All right, that is the news. Where's my button? Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to play our favorite game.
Let's play Overrated or Underrated with Eric Todd.
That's right, it's Overrated, Underrated with Eric Todd. We are going to play it this time. Usually we talk about professional wrestlers in a sense. This time we're going to talk about just professional wrestling. We are going to do Overrated, Underrated, special matches, gimmick matches, theme matches. Now, this is just the match. Take any wrestler you want and how they've been used over the years and kind of rate them around. So, we'll start it off first. Overrated, underrated. The triple threat match. Three guys or
Brian.
gals in the ring. There you go.
The triple threat match used to be special, used to be underrated. It would pop in every now and again, and it was a treat. It was a special, tantalizing texture on your tongue. But nowadays, it's a tantalizing turd on your tongue because, as we'll see later on with the triple threat match we'll be reviewing, it's just a round robin of bullshit. You disappear for a while so we can have a match. You disappear for a while so we can have a match, and so on. So the triple threat started off great, ended up being a big turd sandwich. So now it has become an overrated gimmick match.
Yes, I'd have to agree on that. But what I do like is the kissing cousin of the triple threat match. ECW is famous for these. The three-way dance, where that is where one man or woman now would be eliminated. So you want to be in the ring and get the first pin because then person one is eliminated, and now you're down to two guys. It's an elimination pinfall match starting with three guys. You got to pin two people or, get the last pin to win. I like that idea better than the triple threat.
Or do you want to stay out of the ring as long as possible to make sure you're one of the final two?
Yes, but I think there's just a little more at being involved can keep you alive and go from there. Overrated, underrated, the good old-fashioned classic cage match. You can put the cage with the fence, the big blue from WWE with the big squares. Back in when they'd have to take you 30 minutes to put it together, they'd have an intermission in the middle of the show to put the big blue cage up. But the cage match, overrated or underrated?
The cage match will always have a special piece in my heart, Brian, because my first memory of wrestling, WWE wrestling, was Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy in Big Blue.
Yes.
And seeing blood and seeing the carnage that was involved in that. And since WWE has taken their opportunity to shit on cage matches here and again, and they try to ruin them every chance they get, seemingly. But cage match is still a special occasion anytime wrestling's on, and I can't wait to see it. So in my eyes, cage matches are underrated.
Very good. I would have to agree with you on that. Let's do overrated or underrated anything on a pole match. Go ahead and fill in the blank. Anything on a pole match.
Oh, man. These things have been done every which way you can think of, all the way down to the Insane Clown Posse's wrestling promotion they have, JCW. I believe we've seen crack pipe on a pole match. These matches, they can go terribly wrong with the pole falling down, with the pole being too high or the pole being too low. So many things can go wrong in these matches, but to me, that just makes it even more entertaining. So more crack pipe on a pole matches in my eyes, and pole matches are underrated.
I believe we saw WCW at the end of their career have a Viagra on a pole match, and we also had a Judy Bagwell on a pole match where they put Buff Bagwell's mother. They had her on a forklift. You had to win Judy Bagwell. I like the weapons on the pole. Those were always good. First one to the weapon, then gets to use said weapon, etc., and so on. All right. Overrated, underrated. No holds barred matches.
These are another thing that started off as fantastic. It was a big deal to have a no holds barred match when rules actually existed. Nowadays, for the most part, rules don't exist in wrestling. Almost every match is somewhat a no holds barred match. So now putting one out there would be completely ridiculous. It wouldn't matter to anybody. So at this point, a no holds barred match would be overrated.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. A little watered down. Last one, overrated, underrated. This is kind of a big one. It's taken on a life of its own. It can kind of fall into a couple things, but the TLC match. Just your tables, ladders, and chairs. Even if you just want to wrap the ladder match inside of that as well, you can kind of discuss all of that.
This is one, if done correctly, can be fantastic. I don't know if it's my mind playing tricks on me, but at one point, Brian, wasn't it a stipulation to win the match is you had to put them through a match, or through a table, use a chair, and get something off the ladder or
There was
something like that?
there was weird gimmicks to it. There was there was table matches, because I think there was just the table match where you had to put somebody through a table to win. Then there was like the chairs match, and then so there was all these different stipulations. Then they kind of melded them together to be one big match.
But anyway, you take it back to when we had the Dudley Boys, when we had the Hardy Boys in their prime, when we had Edge and Christian still together, and they made these matches the most spectacular thing on a WWE pay-per-view. But nowadays, I just think it would be watered down again, because there just always seems to be some sort of table gimmick, or people flying over ropes through tables. Chairs seem to be involved in every match nowadays. So a TLC match nowadays would be completely watered down and completely overrated.
Well, that's your 5 that I had for you this week. Overrated, underrated, special gimmick matches. We went over the triple threat, the cage match, anything on a pole, no holds barred in the TLC match. That's overrated or underrated. And we'll move on. I still got to make a little stinger to get out of this thing.
Yeah, just change it to. And that's all for underrated.
Overrated, underrated.
Eric Todd.
Eric Todd. So yeah, we will get that done. But now we shall move on and tear apart Crown Jewel, and we're going to go over this thing minute by minute, people, so strap in, because we're going to talk about every waking second. This is going to be a we're not going to do a 4.5 hour podcast.
4 hours and 5 minutes of just this segment.
Just this segment, that's not going to happen. We're going to plow through this. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and we shall move it along. Kicking off first, there was a pre-show. But as you know, this is episode 74 by now. You know neither one of us watched the pre-show.
I don't watch no damn pre-shows.
I didn't know there was a pre-show until later at the end of the show when they told me there was a pre-show, and they explained how the Usos and the Hurt Locker did their thing. So I always call it the Hurt Locker. I'll always call it the Hurt Locker. So we kicked this thing off pretty hot with the Hell in the Cell match.
Yeah, we had the Hell in the Cell, Edge versus Seth Rollins, Hell in a Cell, and this thing had a lot of heat behind it. I watched the little vignette, glue that brought the story all back together, showing everything that's happened the past few weeks, all the way up to the gimmicky-ass Seth Rollins breaking into Edge's house,
Ooh.
a la Stone Cold Steve Austin, Brian Pillman, and boy, that was some cheesy shit, Brian.
That part was bad, but the promo package that they put together for this was 100% not necessarily for us, Eric. It wasn't for people that tune in and watch a niche wrestling podcast like we host here and do. This was for somebody that was flipping through the Peacock network and stumbled upon this and decided to watch it, whether it was live at the moment or pre-recorded, because this thing told you every second of the story in, a minute and a half. They did a great job putting together. This package brought you right into the thing. It was also for wrestling fans if you just hadn't been paying attention, but for the most part, you get where I'm going here. They were doing this for the masses. And boy, they did a great job with that.
They did. They told the entire story, and by the time this match started, no matter if you were paying attention to the full story or not, you wanted Edge to get in there and kick the living shit out of Seth Rollins.
That you did. And I'm a Seth Rollins mark, but they just knew how to make who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Wasn't no questions asked.
And yeah, that was interesting. Obviously, Edge is the babyface in this one. Seth Rollins has been fucking with Edge and his family for a while now. But starting things off here, we were a little off kilter. Edge was working heel for the beginning of this, fighting a lot dirtier than Seth Rollins. Edge was the first one to introduce a chair into this match, going as far as to breaking the support beam off of the chair and trying to shove it into Seth Rollins' mouth. And, you start this thing off, and it just really pointed out how aggressive and how angry Edge was. And these two are fantastic at that. They can really evoke emotions in a staged wrestling match.
Yeah, they brought it out. Edge was really selling the gimmick of. I didn't take it as heel. I took it as aggressive, as in I took it as in a real aspect. They went with this very not gimmicky. That the dad, the husband, the father was angry that his family was in danger and that Seth Rollins put his family in danger and he's going to murder the guy who did it. And so I like that. I can dig that and can kind of relate to that. So you can, that I took it as different than being necessarily heel, but he was working very mean.
Yeah, and I'm going to agree with you 100% on that. But I was just saying, if we take it down to just
Sure.
basic bare bones and you just tune this in and you had no idea what the story was, no idea who's a good guy, who's a bad guy, you just tuned in, you would have thought Edge was the bad guy from the way
Yes.
he was working.
For sure.
But clearly, Rollins is the heel, and he is getting all the heel heat because this Saudi crowd absolutely despises Seth Rollins. And the crowd, this was a fantastic crowd, Brian. They played along throughout the entire show. They cheered for the right people. They booed the right people, and they stayed involved.
Yeah, they were all in, especially the people that were on the outside of the main floor, if you will. The first like 10 rows, because those were super expensive seats, most of them reserved for the prince and his family and the dignitaries of the world, and those were like super expensive. Then the real fans were in the started to go as the bowl went up and then up into the crowd. The fans were all in. They, no puns intended, but they were all in, ready to go and put it all out there. So then they knew the storylines too. They knew the gimmicks. They knew who was working. This was not just, they didn't just fill in the building. They didn't say, hey, everybody from Saudi Arabia, come on in. There was like real deal rabid wrestling fans in the audience, besides up front in that main circle, which to me takes away a lot of the show, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, definitely real fans filling this building, just showing you how far WWE's reach is as to obtaining a fan base. But back to this match, Seth Rollins, the mood kind of changes. Seth Rollins goes ham on Edge with a chair, and this is where Rollins takes on the full heel role at this point. Edge doing a fantastic job selling, getting sympathy, and Rollins is just getting dirty with them. A little side note here, Seth Rollins sets up a table and this crowd pops for weapons. They pop for gimmicks. This table goes up from Seth Rollins and the crowd starts chanting, yes, yes.
Yes, they did.
Yes, fingers in the air and all. And I was like, ooh, Vinnie Mac hates that. Vinnie Mac's got to hate that.
Or he loves it and he's going, it stays here. Like we have that. It's not him anymore. It's its own thing. And so he could be just as happy that it's there, Daniel and Bryan Danielson never shit on the company since he's left, so I think it'll be all good at the end of the day. But we digress on that and keep moving with Crown Jewel.
We do. We get a cool spot here. Again, Edge and Seth Rollins, they can take something that inexperienced wrestlers on another show would make look like shit, and they can make it look fantastic. Seth Rollins, he spent a little too much time on the top rope here at this point, but Edge shoves him off of the top turnbuckle, where Seth Rollins goes flying off the turnbuckle, hits a very high point on the side of the cell, slides down the chain link fence, and crashes right through a table. And I thought that was an impressive spot. That's something, if I've seen it before, I haven't seen that in a very long time. That was a nice original spot for a Hell in the Cell match.
It wasn't convoluted. It didn't take too long. The spot, I guess when you were saying that he was on the ropes a little too long in the setup there, but it was just long enough where you go, what's happening? Oh, my God, that just happened. And it was, you're going to essentially forget about it and not be heartbroken that it looked like it was some movie spot being set up. So that was a great one. That was pretty intense. Like, Seth put it on the line for that one. He went, all right, we're doing this. We're here in front of whatever. How many people were there at Saudi Arabia? 80,000 people or some nonsense. and threw him out there against the ring and put his hips and back on the line for that one.
Yeah, definitely. This thing starts to ramp up, and weapons and aspects of the ring and steps and whatnot are definitely being utilized. Edge hitting an edge-o-matic on the steel steps in the middle of the ring there. And oh boy, he landed his ass right on the corner of those steel steps. And I felt for Edge way more than I felt for Seth Rollins in that one.
Yeah, he definitely, that's smarted.
Seth Rollins, little homage to Triple H here. He thwarts a spear from Edge and turns it into a pedigree. Gets a 2 count. Edge hits a buckle bomb and a spear. 2 count. And that's where the false finishes are coming. We can feel the crescendo to this match approaching us. Edge retrieves a ladder, and the crowd just goes bananas. Again, they love the gimmicks in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I mean they're ready. They were ready to see it all, and they got a lot of it in this match. These guys came out and put on a clinic. I was pretty impressed with this match. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I was a big fan of this match. We get a couple mean-looking ladder spots from both guys. We got Seth Rollins teasing that Edge is going to go through a table, laying him on the table, ascending the ladder. Edge decides he's going to get up at that point right at the most opportune time and start fighting Seth Rollins on the ladder. Rollins hits a hell of a sunset flip / power bomb, putting Edge through the table. And I thought that was it. I thought it was a wrap, but this match just keeps going, Brian.
Yeah, they gave these guys a lot of time. They put a lot on the line, and that's what I think made me enjoy it. And the false finishes weren't coming from finishing moves. They were coming from intense moves, but not the big finishers and then kicking out and going, okay, well, what do we got to do here? It was getting smashed with the ladder, getting a sunset bomb, as Michael Cole called it, through the table. So I enjoyed these high spots were very powerful and very explosive.
Yeah, this match definitely kept us involved. So, it was filled with false finishes that could have been the finish, but they weren't false finishes where you were like, come on.
Yeah.
Bullshit. That should have been the finish for sure. The gimmicks keep coming. Seth Rollins hits a couple weak super kicks on Edge here. Edge, again, selling his ass off. Seth Rollins finds a toolbox and wraps a chain around his foot.
The chain gimmick got a little long for me. I'm going, come on. Like, how hurt is Edge? If he's that hurt, just go pin him. He laid there for an hour and a half while you're sitting there, daisy chaining a chain around your ankle piece, putting your anklet on.
Oh, man. That thing took forever. The chain was looped on itself, and Seth had to unhook it and wrap it around his foot. And you thought a super kick from Seth Rollins was enough of the chain gimmick, but Edge ends up crotching Seth Rollins when Rollins goes for the curb stomp, and then Edge has the chain. And Edge has to take his sweet time unwrapping the chain from Seth Rollins' leg. So this thing, it definitely wasn't planned out too much in the locker room.
Yeah, the chain moment got away from him. We'll let that go because 98% of this match was good. It was this chain piece got a little long. It didn't quite cooperate perfectly.
Yeah, and then Edge, he just turns it up a notch. He turns up the heat here with a couple super kicks, the old wrench in the mouth gimmick, and instead of just letting Seth Rollins tap out at this point, he goes ahead and curb stomps Seth Rollins using his own move against him onto a chair, and then it's a wrap for Seth Rollins. Edge gets the 1, 2, 3.
Edge gets the 1, 2, 3. I'm glad to see we'll go back and talk about the toolbox for a half a second. I remember we watched War Games. You can go back and check that out on NXT. Eric was none too pleased about the toolbox coming into the match because there were all weapons in there that if you hit somebody with, you're getting a murder case. I mean, in professional wrestling or not, they are going to die. So how do you use that and make that work in kayfabe gimmick world? And it was very poorly done on NXT. Now, this I thought was way better done because they went for a chain and we're going to curb stomp and super kick with chains and get punched in the face. The wrench came into play, and then he just choked him with it. Like, Seth looks like he's going to hit him with it. He choked. So it was used very well, and it wasn't all murder gimmicks in there. It just looked like a loose toolbox where Shotzi Blackheart, whoever brought that in at War Games last year, was like, what is happening here? You brought in a flamethrower, a circular saw, and a sledgehammer.
Right. On the NXT thing, I go back and watch that episode if you can find it. I lost my mind because every weapon that fell out of that toolbox was a murder charge. And on this one, they didn't focus on the contents of the toolbox too much. Pretty much, even I just watched the match hours ago, and all I remember is the wrench in the chain. So WWE did it right this time.
Yeah.
And according to the commentators, this was 3 of 3 of their battle, and it's going to be a wrap on the Edge and Seth Rollins feud.
That's all right. I think it's a good time to wrap that up. The other thing that I noticed, one little small thing, it was maybe a little stab at Christian and AEW, is that Edge was going for a move. I forget how they set it up exactly, but nonetheless, end of the day, he turns it into the Unprettier. And that was always Christian's gimmick to me. That's what I remember it as. Maybe I'm having a Mandela effect here, but I remember Christian being the Unprettier and giving that for his finishing move. And they're like, and giving him his old finishing move, or the Unprettier. Pull Edge doing one of his, old school Edge moves, the Unprettier. And it's like, that was a Christian gimmick in my eyes. Anything I remember, do you remember it differently, or am I crazy?
Just in this match, it was Seth Rollins that reversed one of Edge's moves, and Seth Rollins actually performed the Unprettier.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I did it backwards, but they claimed it to be Edge's move.
The Unprettier is Christian Cage's move for sure.
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm sorry. It was Edge did, or it was performed on Edge, and it was him saying using his own move against him. It's like, no.
No, that's Christian's move. So yeah, I did catch that, but it didn't really stick in my brain. That is a nice little, not necessarily a stab, but kind of a poke to the ribs of Christian over there in AEW.
A tee-hee. I said so. Yeah, when they gave Edge that nod that it was his, I was like, maybe not. But anyways, I rated this match like they started out hot, so I was amazed. This wasn't Hell in the Cell, Mankind, Undertaker getting thrown through rings and thrown off, and all that stuff and near death. But this was a great Hell in the Cell match, a great cage match. Compared to the last Hell in the Cell match we saw Seth Rollins in with The Fiend, I apologize for that. I got an update about something. We'll ignore that. The Hell in the Cell match with The Fiend that Seth Rollins was in, that was a big crock of shit where that got a 0.01 rating on the scale of 1 to 10. So this was a good match, and all I had fear for was the rest of the card.
Yeah, this thing started off great, and as far as Hell in the Cell matches of recent times, this is up there. This may be the best Hell in the Cell match I've seen in recent history.
So yeah,
show. I was very pleased with this. It got a little gimmicky towards the end, but with these two performers, they did the best they could, and they made this match look like gold compared to Hell in the Cell matches of the past.
Yes, sir. And then we move on to the biggest cool down match they can give you.
We had Mansoor versus Mustafa Ali, and both of these guys are Muslim, and this is taking place in Saudi Arabia. So this should have been a hot ticket for the Saudi crowd. WWE did not advertise this match at all. Mustafa Ali expressed his concern and disappointment over that fact on Twitter at one point. But for what this match was, I'm not too familiar with Mansoor or Mustafa Ali's work. Being honest, just they haven't really caught my eye. But this match wasn't bad, Brian.
It wasn't
These two
bad.
have great chemistry together. They work like they're smooth like butter together in that ring.
It was just a terrible spot for it, is what I'm saying. You could have put Hogan and Warrior following that Hell in a Cell match, and they're going to struggle, right? But you put Mansoor and Mustafa Ali, poor Mansoor gets used on TV at best once a year when they do a Crown Jewel event. I'm sorry. He's a good wrestler. he gets used in Saudi Arabia a lot. He gets used for these spots, and he doesn't get time on Raw and SmackDown a lot, or so he kind of gets buried in there. Now, granted, they give him the spotlight here, but it's just to know what's happening and to give him that spot following Edge and Seth Rollins in a cage match. I mean, I'm sorry, anybody would have struggled there. Nothing against these two; they did a great match, but. It was a terrible spot for anybody.
Yeah, and I apologize. I might have misunderstood you there and thought maybe you were comparing this to a piss break match. And it's just the placement of the match, and you can kind of take it as WWE just
somebody's got to be there. You got to go. Like somebody has to be number 2, right? So that's just where it sucks.
But to use a match where you're using 2 people. I believe one of them is straight up from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Mansoor.
And to stick them in that cool down spot is just kind of WWE going, here, we got to give you the match. Here, just fucking take it. We'll give it to you in the cool down spot.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But as far as performance goes, if you were watching this match, it was great. Mustafa Ali plays a great chicken shit heel. He's no Sami Zayn by any means, but he took every chance he could to stop Mansoor's momentum. Whenever he could roll out of the ring, he could. Again, these two have great chemistry together. They're former tag team partners. Saw a super smooth tornado DDT from Mustafa Ali at one point, and Ali he's playing both aspects of the heel. He can be a chicken shit, but then when he's in control of this match, he is just loudly taunting Mansoor. You're a loser. You'll never be nothing, blah, 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 blah. And sadly, because of WWE's booking, he's probably right.
Sadly, not because of his own skill and his own talent, just because of bad placement.
Right. Mansoor mounts a comeback. He gets a flurry of offense and causing Mustafa Ali to beg off, roll out of the ring again. Ali hits a great-looking drop kick, and as Mansoor is diving through the ropes, the timing on that was impeccable, Brian. That is a very underappreciated spot in this match, I'm sure. Mansoor was doing the great tope suicida that I all love. And Ali drop kicked the shit out of his nugget right as he was coming through them ropes.
Right out the nug piece.
They at one point they're teasing Mansoor passing out when Ali has them all pretzeled up in the submission, and Mansoor being the hometown hero here, you can't let him lose this match.
No,
and they don't let him lose.
They don't let him lose.
Ali misses a 450 splash. Mansoor hits a slingshot neckbreaker, and it's a wrap. A kind of a short match, again, to go into the cool down spot placement. Yeah. But, they kept the action flowing. Mansoor got the win, and we got an afterbirth.
We got an afterbirth, yeah. Everything was, like I said, it's not, I don't want to shit on the match. It was just, again, I'll say it 100th time now, it just, anybody there would have struggled. So, I don't know how you get out of that, really, besides maybe move the placement of the Hell in the Cell match somewhere else. But anyways, poor guys, they put on a great match. Let's talk about this afterward, Eric. What happened here?
Ali, being a bad sport, doesn't take the loss well, immediately attacks Mansoor after the match. But we hear some music we've never heard before. We see a man walking down the ramp, his head completely wrapped up, dressed in all white with a red belt, looking like some sort of karate fella. Gets into the ring, removes his head wrap, and it's none other than Saudi Olympic silver medalist of karate, Tarek Hamdi. I know I butchered that. And Hamdi dropped Ali with a quick head kick that looked pretty worked to me. I wish he would have just kicked him for real. And then the two hometown heroes celebrated in the ring, Mansoor and Tariq Hamdi.
Yeah, he won the silver medal, I believe. Michael Cole kept screaming at the Olympics with a knockout for karate and just a big old wham kick to the head. So that was why he went for that famous kick and set that up again. I had no idea who he was. I didn't watch the Olympics, any piece of it. I didn't watch anything of the Olympics, so I didn't know anything was going on until Michael Cole started screaming like I should know what's happening.
And just a weird little side note, I watched maybe an hour total of the Olympics and happened to see this when it happened.
Oh, wow.
So I do remember Tariq Hamdi. I believe he won the match with a head kick.
Yeah.
But then they determined the head kick was too hard and it was unsportsmanlike.
Oh.
So they DQ'd him and gave him the silver medal instead.
Oh, so he was supposed to win the gold, boy.
He was supposed to win the gold, but he didn't just get the point with the head kick. He knocked the bastard out with his head kick.
Oh. Well, silly me. I thought that was a good thing when they were like, he won the silver medal with a head kick. That's how they worded it. Like Michael Cole said it, and I'm like, wow, all right, that makes sense. But he won the gold medal with the head kick, and then they said, no, you kicked him too hard.
Yeah.
You don't kick people hard in kick fighting.
And karate. Why would we do that?
Karate. Oh, that's strange. Give the bastard his gold medal, stupid Olympics.
Now, coming from a match that I thought you were implying we were going to shit on to a match that I'm definitely going to shit on, we've got the Raw Tag Team Championship match, RK Bro versus AJ Styles and Amos.
This is only, you're going to shit on this only because one big mark, 675, I was going to say 60%, but I'm going to jump up to 75% of this is because you hate Matt Riddle.
I hate Matt Riddle, and I hate the way they book AJ Styles.
And and almost doesn't belong in professional wrestling.
Correct.
Or at least on this level of professional wrestling.
Well, almost is he's a
freak show, sorry.
Yeah, he's a freak show, but I'm not mad at Amos. He's part of the booking with AJ Styles. He's just collateral damage in my hatred of this. First of all, you get RK Bro, Randy Orton coming down. Randy Orton comes down normal. His music playing. Yeah, whatever. Everything's on point. Riddle is on a goddamn camel, Brian, and just acting like a complete buffoon.
Not only is he on a camel, first off, they come out together, and he's on his scooter, and then they stop, and AJ and Almost are in the ring. They're like, come on, let's get this going. RKO and Riddle are doing their pose, and then Riddle goes, 1 second, and he scoots off in the back and takes way too long. Way too long. Nobody knows what's happening. Luckily, AJ Styles is a professional, so he's taunting and laughing, and he's kind of yelling, no microphone, but implying that Riddle left is what you're getting because nobody. And then Randy's doing his annoyed big brother face where he's like, what's happening? He's so confused.
His new mustache works great with that too. The annoyed big brother.
He's just so confused, and I don't know what's happening. And then out of nowhere, the son of a bitch comes out on a camel. I mean, you want to talk about cheap pops.
Right. Just Riddle is a complete buffoon, but people love him the same way they love Orange Cassidy. And that's just the wrestling fans nowadays. And there's nothing I can do to change that.
One by one.
Buffoonery.
One by one, we will mock your buffoonery.
Yeah, so Riddle's a complete moron. I just can't stand that kid. But he's over like Rover to not only this crowd but to the whole WWE universe.
Yeah, I mean he had Saudi Arabia in the palm of his hands.
Yeah, poor AJ Styles. I know he's in on it. I know he's doing his job and he enjoys doing his job of getting the younger talent over, and he's just he's going to retire soon enough, and he's passing the torch, so to speak. But in this match, AJ Styles is pretty much just doing his best impression of a pinata, just absolutely getting the shit kicked out of him by both Randy Orton and Matt Riddle.
Yeah, he's doing his best impression of Shawn Michaels in selling, putting it over and trying to make something out of this, trying to polish this turd.
Randy Orton at very early in this match teases an RKO, and I was quite disappointed that wasn't the end of this match. But the commentators at this point, the commentators are in on the gimmick too. They are clearly pushing Amos as the backbone of this AJ Styles Amos tag team. And it's just a ridiculous concept. A giant, awkward green kid, former basketball player, and a 20-year veteran, 20 plus year veteran, multiple time TNA champion, held multiple belts in WWE, and almost is the backbone of this team, Brian.
Right. A guy that's going down in the history books in professional wrestling, AJ Styles. But almost, I almost don't care. The other thing that I hate about this match is that we literally don't have a tag team in the tag team championship match of the evening. We have 4 guys making 2 teams, but we do not have a tag team. When you literally have tag teams on the card that are on your roster that aren't on the card, and you've got these 4 guys, it's just AJ Styles and Almost, and then RKO, RK Bro, they kind of melded a name together from 2 guys, but they're not a team. Like Randy Orton doesn't want to be his friend type. It's one of those. It's that same gimmick, that Rock and Mankind gimmick, the Rock and Sock connection, where the Rock didn't. I don't want to be your partner. I don't know. This is not tag team. Just run with some tag teams, some literal tag teams.
Right. Precisely. Almost is only in a tag team until he gets comfortable enough to work a match on his own. He'll probably end up in the WWE Hall of Fame just because Great Khali ended up in the WWE Hall of Fame for just being big.
For being tall.
AJ Styles, obviously a single star. Randy Orton, obviously a single star. Matt Riddle, he was a huge single star in NXT and also a pretty big single star in WWE. It just happened to be when he interacted with Randy Orton, the crowd ate it up. So yeah, it's just 4 single stars or 3 single stars and 1 potential single star all just jammed together.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
You have nothing invested.
Natural.
Right, you have nothing invested in it. This isn't the Nasty Boys and Legion of Doom. This isn't Money Inc. and the Rockers. This isn't, these are, I know I'm reaching way back, but you can come up. This isn't the New Age Outlaws. This isn't, it just.
FTR or the Young Bucks.
FTR, the Young Bucks. These are tag teams. Like, you can work way back to now and pick out tag teams. I mean, you took literal tag teams that you had and made them jokes. You have the Street Profits, a literal tag team. You have what is the Ivar and Eric, the War Machine the big
whatever
Viking Raiders. They were War Machine in New Japan. Viking Raiders. You got tag teams. Like, but no, we just put these 4 guys, and they're gonna make the other guys do skits and play fake basketball and throw axes together. Cool.
Yeah. It just shows Vince's blatant disrespect for the work that goes into making a coherent tag team. He just wants to take his big stars and Vince's 76-year-old brain. This guy's a big star. This guy's a big star. You put them together and you got a mega star.
Yeah. 2
plus
plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. It just keeps going up. Add more. It gets better.
And almost, he's still green as pig shit, man. Him and Dominic Mysterio should still be down in Florida training day in and day out until they're ready to be on NXT, because they both fucking stink.
Well,
and this isn't about Dominic Mysterio right here. This is about Almost, but they push him like he is goddamn Andre the Giant. He no-sold everything from Randy Orton from Matt Riddle. He no-sold everything and was just a complete monster in this match.
Raw. Yeah. They should go to NXT for as shitty as that show was the last time we watched it and just go wrestle there. Nobody cares.
And again, pushing Almost as the backbone of this team. The only way Randy Orton and Matt Riddle can beat AJ Styles is by knocking Almost off the ring apron and somehow incapacitating him so he can no longer be involved in the match. Then we get back-to-back finishers. We get a RKO from Randy Orton, And then we get a floaty bro, I believe they refer to it,
Yeah.
from Matt Riddle for the pin.
That RKO, though, was pretty dope. That phenomenal forearm that AJ was, made famous is setting up for. He jumps up. He's going to give the phenomenal forearm. Randy Orton RKOs him out of nowhere and then doesn't pin him, but tags in Riddle for his backflip on his moonsault onto AJ Styles. And there you go. 1, 2, 3. RK Bro retains. But I like that. I love the RKO out of nowhere. Like that's if
I love it.
Randy Orton's in the match, I'm waiting for it out of nowhere. That's what I love. He's turned that into an out of nowhere move, and it's always done so well. I mean, he just so smooth every time. So whatever, they won. They're the one of your tag team champions. There you go. Your tag team champions are not a tag team. Who cares? Next.
And next, we had the highly anticipated Queen's Crown Finals.
Yeah.
We had Dewdrop versus Zelina Vega. And this match was trash, Brian, but at least it was under 6 minutes, so at least they kept it short.
This Dewdrop freaks me out, the way that, like, she came out of nowhere. Like, I missed Raw, like, 1 week. Like, I'd keep up on it, and then when you turn it on, I'm going, this Dewdrop, she's just running around. I don't remember seeing her go through NXT, hearing nothing about her, no other place. Definitely, like, and then, boop, there she is. Hey, I'm Dewdrop, and now she's in the finals of the Queen's Crown, Queen of the Ring match. They didn't want to go with Queen of the Ring, did they? King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring. They went Queen's Crown, for whatever that's worth and whatever that means exactly. But, yeah, and Zelina Vega, this is like two who gives a shits in this match. At least that's the way I took it. I could have cared less who won it. The referee could have won it for all I care. Out of the 3 people in the ring, give it to the ref.
So I just had to pull up her Wikipedia real quick. I was explaining to my son, he popped in while I was watching this show, and I go, this Dewdrop girl right here, I go, she was huge, no pun intended, on the independent scene. And she had made a huge name for herself as Piper Niven. And WWE scoops her up, and they pushed her to the moon. Like, they didn't make her run through any of the ranks.
No.
So apparently she must have been pretty popular on the independent scene. And then they just give her the stupidest name anyone could think of, Dewdrop.
Yeah,
and to spell it Doudrop. It's just WWE being WWE.
They want to own that IP, baby. Got to own that intellectual property. That is ours. Whatever a Dewdrop is, we own it. I want some. Don't you want you some? It's a Dewdrop, baby.
And I've already made one mean, shitty pun about Dewdrop, so I will scratch my joke about the purple shirt and craving McDonald's. We'll just go ahead and crumple that up, throw it in the garbage. Zelina Vega went to the top rope, and Dewdrop caught a
easy for you to say.
Performing a crossbody and turned it into a slam. Zelina Vega hit a nice tornado DDT for a near fall, but all in all, this match was just a little bit of back and forth. I didn't really care. Neither performer seemed natural in their positions and their taunting and their crowd work and whatever. I wasn't into this thing at all. Zelina Vega ends up hitting a code red on Dewdrop. She scores the victory, becomes the first ever Queen's Crown winner.
Yeah, and then the Queen's Crown winner, like, there was nobody there to, like, interview the winner at the staging area, right? With the little crown and cape and chair work.
It was a little awkward.
They just walked up there, and she just put it on and then sat there and smiled. And there was no, like, where was Doc Hendricks at? Michael PSA's, like, when he interviewed Stone Cold Steve Austin. Where's Sean Mooney? I mean, send somebody out there, for the love of Pete, to be like, oh, I'm being funny here by pulling out some old names, obviously, but where was somebody to go stand there and say, hey, you won. How does it feel? It didn't have to be long. Where was the Joe Rogan moment? You won the match, the post-fight match interview.
Yeah, someone with a name to put this thing over. It ended up being the same situation in the King of the Ring, which we'll get to later. And it's yeah, it was just kind of flat. Just, oh look, you're the queen crown winner, and you go up to the podium and put your crown on.
Sit there
Cool
and
story.
we'll take some video and we'll make a highlight for Instagram and TikTok, and then we'll send it out to some stills, and we'll move on, and we'll never talk about this gimmick again.
Precisely. Yeah, WWE just in a whole, this whole Queen's Crown thing, um, you could tell they were just doing it just to get publicity out of it. WWE was not into it. Vince was not into it. Almost every match, every big match in this tournament was like 2 or 3 minutes long.
Sure.
So believe me, I'm not the biggest fan of women's wrestling, but if you're gonna play the gimmick and say we're all about women's wrestling and we're gonna make it big, you gotta go for it. You just can't piss in a bucket and call it beer.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
no,
know.
it was bad. It just definitely, the whole thing sucked. So we can continue on past this. What happened after that?
After that, we had Goldberg
Oh,
trying to enact his revenge on Bobby Lashley.
2 months
because
ago.
Bobby Lashley, yes, 2 months ago, Bobby Lashley attacked Goldberg's son.
And he decided that he's mad about it now.
So he decided, we're going to wait till I can get paid a cool $1 million to fly to Saudi Arabia and fight you in a falls count anywhere, no rules match.
Yeah. What's the difference between a falls count anywhere, no rules, and a no holds barred match?
You got me, and that's why they're overrated. Any way you put it.
In a normal match, I always wondered what holds are barred. Because in a no holds are barred. So in a regular match, we must have some holds that are barred. So which holds are not?
And this was simply stated as a falls count anywhere. But apparently, falls count anywhere means while you're in the ring, you can just wrap a chain around your fist. And that's how we're going to start the match. That's how falls count anywhere implies that you can hit people with solid steel chains. Where that correlation comes, I don't know.
Yeah. This one had the little package up front, too, explaining the story because, 2 months ago. But it's just so weird. This one I didn't care about this story. Like, I laughed at it because I'm going, they're trying to draw people in. They did a great job with the Hell in the Cell match, telling the story leading up to what happened last week, right? What happened in the last several weeks, couple nights ago, that we're going to go into this, and what happened in these between Seth and Edge. And then this match was like, so this happened 2 months ago. Nothing happened until yesterday, and now we're having the match. So he's just still mad about what happened 2 months ago. Like, you didn't get over it in 2 months.
Again, it's blatantly obvious. Goldberg only has to wrestle a couple matches a year, and they couldn't figure out how to keep him involved in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
You don't have to have him fight anybody, but keep the story going somehow. But yeah, this was basically, this happened a couple months ago. Goldberg's mad and he wants his revenge in Saudi Arabia, of all places.
I think that they forget that they have, everybody's got a cell phone, right? And everybody's phone, it shoots in like high def 4K, Samsung, Apple, whatever you want. Why aren't they just shooting? Why doesn't it doesn't have to be that big a deal these days? Have Goldberg grab his phone, cut a promo, and air it on TV to keep the story alive. Edit it together so it looks, with him. You could have made this. So now we go into this 2-month-old feud to get revenge on something, and then the match happens. Let's talk about the match.
The match, Brian, I was expecting worse. So I actually...
You were?
I was.
Wow.
I was expecting Goldberg Undertaker,
Well, we damn near got it a couple times.
I got to hand it to Goldberg. He kept Bobby Lashley. My apologies. My son, when he was 3, was a huge fan of Bobby Lashley because his mother's name is Ashley. So he thought it was the same name. So
Bobby
to
Ashley.
this day, 15 years later, I refer to Bobby Lashley as Bobby Ashley. But as I stated before, Bobby Lashley starts this thing out with a chain wrapped around his fist. Goldberg tries to take control right away with some punches, but Lashley smacks him around with the chain. We get a steel chair almost immediately, and also Bobby Lashley going after Goldberg's bad knee that he injured way back at SummerSlam.
Right, yeah. 2-month injury.
Yeah, so we're working a 2-month-old injury here, and they work this thing. They juiced the hell out of it. There was not a drop of juice left in this lemon rind, Brian.
No.
Just,
They
oh,
was
he's working that leg. He's working that leg. Simply because Goldberg didn't want to work. He needed time to rest.
Yeah, I also think they worked the knee so that Goldberg didn't have to move fast because he was moving at a
Right.
snail's pace. He was
Yeah,
there
he was-
literally putting in work. He wasn't doing a job. He's like, I'm supposed to come here and do this, and then I go home.